Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. It is so very good to see you. My name is Mark Dolfini, and you are at Strategic Boardroom, and you are here for the networking session. Is your networking not working? Nothing more frustrating than that. When you're out there, you're just doing the grind. You're out there like running for mayor, kissing babies, doing all the things, and you're just not getting any traction from your networking. Well, that is what we're going to be discussing today. And this is one of my favorite sessions to do just because I tend to attract a lot of people who really are very personable, very networking oriented. So I really love this session here. So don't be shy. I know you're not. I know if you're here for a networking session, you're expecting some networking. And if you want to share with each other and network with one another, if you want to share LinkedIn profiles or whatever, just understand I don't know a lot of the people that are on here. So and I might be meeting you for the very first time. So again, if your networking is not working, we're going to try to make your networking a little bit more effective, and we're going to get right into that. So this is not a super duper long session. I think we'll probably be done right at the top of the hour. But if you do have questions along the way, please just go ahead and type them into the chat. I've got a bunch of people on here. There's people on Facebook. There's people on LinkedIn. There are people on YouTube. So it is really good to see you. And yes. So, and then of course, for those of you who are on Eventbrite, and if you signed up through Eventbrite, you will be getting a replay sent to you automatically. So if you if you are a YouTube kind of person and you'd like to head over there, you can subscribe to other stuff, and you can subscribe to the channel, and you can see some other stuff that's been out there. So again, if you are just joining us, it looks like we've got a bunch of people just coming in. Please let me know where you're at, where you're from, maybe what line of work that you're in, so we can make this all relevant and do a little bit of networking. All right. So if you are, again, if you're struggling with your networking not working, you're in the right session. Before we get too far down the road, I want to ask you, again, we talked about this again, specifically where you're from, but I'm going to ask each one of you to pay attention to something for me. And I'm going to ask you, I am looking to connect with business owners and entrepreneurs that you may know who are in the service industry or the contracting industry. You might think of coffee shop owners. They might be in the real estate business. They might be in sales. They might be in rentals. They might be in property management. Or they're contractors like heating and air, or plumbers, or general contractors who do room additions. Stop and think right now. What did I just do? What did I just do in that last 30 seconds or so? I had a very specific ask. It's also called a pre-frame. So let me go back and hit that one more time, okay? So I'm going to ask each and every one of you to pay attention to something. Now you're leaning in. Now some of you might have been typing and saying hello, and we'll get to these in just a second. But here's what I want you to understand. I was asking you for something very, very specific. I was asking you to pay attention to something for me. I'm looking for connections with business owners. Do you know any business owners? Do you know any entrepreneurs? Maybe they're in the service industry. Maybe they're contractors. I want you to think of maybe a coffee shop owner that you own, or a restaurant owner, or they might be in the real estate business. Maybe they're in sales. Maybe they're in real estate rentals. Maybe they're in property management. Do you know anybody like that? Do you know any contractors, heating and air guys, general contractors, maybe someone you're related to? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, yeah, right? You might be thinking of someone like that. Now, am I looking for someone like that? Yes, but I'm not looking for that right now. This is part of the training because I'm really specific about what it is that I'm asking for, right? If I came in here and said, hey, do you know anybody who kind of needs some help with their business? Yeah, everybody. Everybody needs help in some way. That's way too vague. When I can be really specific in my ask about what it is, well, what it is about those folks? Well, generally what I can help them do is if they are really struggling with their growth, if they're really struggling with lots of turnover in their employees, if they're really struggling to get leads, if they're really struggling with finances, that's generally something that I can help them with as a strategist. And that is, again, that specificity is really important. Okay. So what I started out here is called a pre-frame, and it's a really powerful way to get people to think about what it is that you're looking for. So while we're together today, I want you to stop and think about who you specifically could ask for. We're going to get into that here in just a second. So let's do introductions real fast. And we've got King Maddox. Good to see you. Love your avatar, by the way. That is amazing. Hello, Jessica. Hello. Hi from Maryland. Very good. Nice to meet you, Jessica. And you are a salon owner. Fantastic. Well, it's good to have you here. And we've got Yvette Garcia from Dallas, Texas. Welcome. We've got Ivy from Arizona, and Yvette is from Dallas. Oh, yes, yeah, still from Dallas. Gotcha. Milford, New Jersey. Dustin, very good. Welcome from Milford. Milford, New Jersey. Is that right by the Delaware River, like right across the from Matamoros? I think I know where that is. I think I know exactly where that is. There's a pizza place right there in Milford, if I'm thinking of the right place. Wow, small world. I actually grew up in the Catskills, so I think I know where you're at there. Dustin, good to have you here. Lisa, South Carolina owns a dog boarding daycare facility. Excellent. Good to have you here, Lisa. And Ivy is help people save money on essential bills they are already paying for. My services include TV, cellular, gas, electric, security, automation. Um, uh, is it ID theft? Right. Gotcha. Okay. Internet merchant processing. Excellent. Um, Richard from Kingsland, Georgia. Hello. Good to see you, Richard. And Dustin says, "Yep." I figured. I knew what that area is, and you might. I'm wondering. I'm pretty sure that pizza place is still there. Really, really good pizza. Probably the best pizza I've had. Honestly, probably the best pizza I've ever had. I mean, it's really good pizza. I don't remember. It's in a like a shopping mall. It's right off 84. Yeah, I think that's it. People knows. Yeah, I think that's it. That's, oh man, small world. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I don't have a lot of love for New York. I mean, I grew up there, but the one thing I do miss my family there, and I do miss, man, they got some good pizza. All right, good stuff. All right, good stuff. All right, so here's the interesting thing. Again, it's really good to see you guys. I love that. And again, I'm just going to let you guys know if you want to network with one another, share LinkedIn profiles and stuff like that, that's great. All I'm going to ask you to do is try not to do too much multitasking, because we are going to get through a lot of different things here today. And we got a lot to cover in a very short period of time. One quick thing I am going to make a note of is this. For those of you who may be struggling a little bit with understanding finances and really understanding finances as a business owner. So you're going to hear me say this, especially when we talk about the core values of the business. How we are in our personal lives is generally what we bring to the equation into the business world. So if you have a bad relationship with money, or you just don't understand things like balance sheets and income statements and stuff like that, you're like, oh, I'm just not a numbers person. I'm just telling you, set that stuff aside, because accounting and bookkeeping and finance isn't about numbers, it's about rules. And if you can understand things like solitaire and Candyland, and you can understand checkers, you can understand what you need to know about finances. So if that is something that's interested you, it does have a small cost. It's a week from Saturday, not tomorrow, but a week from Saturday. You can sign up for it on Eventbrite. I'll go ahead and put the link up. I'll do that now, and I'll do it again at the end. But if you're interested, you can sign up for that. And if you sign up tonight, and if you sign up before midnight, I will give you a free coaching session on top of that. So, but you got to sign up tonight before midnight. So please, so I've got the list of everybody that's here. So if you are interested, please go ahead and sign up for that. So we got Dustin. Yep, there's your LinkedIn profile. Excellent. Happy to connect with anyone. Excellent, Dustin. Good for you. And all right, so let's get rocking and rolling. All right. So the main question that I ask right out of the gate is, what value are you bringing to your network? What value are you bringing to your network? So if you're out there, and let me know, go ahead and type in the comments, where are you currently networking right now? Like, just give me like your top 1 or 2 places that you network. And I don't want to see like anywhere, because I know like we can network anywhere. But if you are an active networker, where do you go? Do you go to your chamber after hours, your chamber of commerce after hours? Are you a member of BNI? I was a member of BNI for 14 years. I went all the way up the chain. I was an area director for BNI. Absolutely love that organization. Wonderful organization. I have I mean, I've networked in lots of different places and real estate investment clubs and organizations like that. So Ivy is saying I network all across the U.S. and Canada, but specifically where? What events are you doing, Ivy? I love that you're doing that. I love that you're out there getting there, getting out there. But what events? I mean, obviously you can do networking in airports. You can do networking at the supermarkets. You can do networking at church functions. But do you have events that you're typically going to? And I love that you're doing these sorts of things. But I'm just looking for something specific in terms of like what type of events do you tend to flock to? Because the interesting thing about this is that most time when people are thinking like they're doing networking, they're confusing networking for direct sales. That is not networking. That is you being a pain in the neck to your network. And I'll give you an example. Let's say for argument's sake, I came on here, and I don't have an expectation. I'm doing this for free, right? You did not pay anything to come on here. But I provided value by giving you all a mechanism to connect with one another. There is value in that. Did I say, hey, in order for me to connect with anybody, you got to pay for some stuff? No. I brought you value without asking for anything in return. Really, truly. And that is the interesting thing about when people stop and they think about what value they're bringing to their network first. That is where your networking can really go to the next level, is when you're providing value to your network, but you're not asking for anything in return. Does that make sense? So most times when people are labeling it networking, they're actually trying to sell to the people that's across the table from them. They're actually calling that networking when in reality, that's actually direct selling. They're like, yeah, I'm not really getting any juice from the squeeze from my networking. Okay, well, tell me what your networking looks like. Well, I go into a networking function and I'm like Machine Gun Kelly trying to hand out as many business cards as I possibly can. And then I tell everybody in the room about my product or service, and I'm just not getting anything out of it. Be honest. Would you really expect to get anything? What value have you brought to these people? All you've done is punch them in the mouth and talk about you. If you want to be effective, you got to make it about them. You got to bring value to them. So we're going to be talking a lot about bringing value to your network, because if your networking is not working, it's probably because you're trying to direct sell to your network rather than bring value to them. And then all of a sudden they go, they keep bringing me a lot of value. I wonder, what do you do exactly? And then all of a sudden people start to say, hey, how can I bring value to you? And the people that don't, guess what? They probably wouldn't have brought value to you anyway. So this is why I want you to start thinking about this right out of the gate. All right, so we got a bunch of people. So Ivy, it networks all across the U.S. That's fantastic. Dustin says BNI, Legacy Club. Legacy Club, that must be something local. Friends of Pete, created my own group as well. I love that. Creating there's a person who works for Strategic Boardroom, and she has monthly meetups, and she's got like 50, 60, 70 people that show up to her events. She is phenomenal. She's a fantastic networker. And also a master connector. She's connecting lots of people inside that group. Really, really good. Jessica, local town business association, fantastic. Social media, Facebook, Insta, fantastic. Excellent. And again, and something that I love about that, where you can absolutely network and network well. In fact, another person who is in Strategic Boardroom, she has her own bookkeeping business, but she also works within Strategic Boardroom. She and I actually connected by just messaging on Messenger. She reached out to me. I said, hey, how are you? Yeah, have we met? No, we haven't met. Cool. Like, what brings you to my page? Oh, just networking, and she actually kept that up. Now, I will tell you this. There are people who connect with me that I will not stay connected to if they make no effort to reach back out to me. If they make no effort to just connect and then they ghost me, I'm sorry, they will be gone. I do not like that. Don't just try to connect and then just make this collection of people. I actually want, and I'll message you, and if you don't message me back, I'll give you a little bit of time, but generally within a week or two, you're gone, right? Because I can't stand when people are just collecting people and they don't actually connect back. So what are you actually doing? If you are reaching back out to people and connecting with people that way, how are you keeping track of those people, right? Or are you just kind of, letting it fly by the seat of your pants? Again, I get it. It's a lot to manage, but if you are going to use Facebook and Facebook Messenger to network, then I would put it's incumbent upon you to make sure that you're maintaining those connections. So very, very good, Jessica. I like that you're doing that. Yvette, Chamber of Commerce, BNI, Alignable. Alignable, I've seen that pop up a lot. I've not done much with Alignable or even with LinkedIn in terms of networking, but I have seen that. So very good, Yvette. Thank you. Ivy's, churches, BNI, real estate wealth investment. I love that. Very good, Ivy. And Lisa, I'm attending local vendor events, visiting dog parks, connect with dog owners. I think that's phenomenal. That's really good. You're in the dog grooming, right? I love that. I think that's great. Dustin, local community events. That makes a lot of sense. Ivy, I used to do this, but I learned very fast that people will start to ghost you. Yeah. Are we talking about the, you were talking about the Facebook stuff. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And Yvette is saying value equals referrals. That is exactly right. I'm telling you, if you're not bringing value to them, why are you there? Why are you even showing up? So again, this is going to be the premise of everything we're going to be talking about in terms of this. So one of the main premise around building value comes to trust, because people are not going to refer you, and they sure as heck are not going to buy from you if they don't trust you. And there are two main elements to trust. Now, this is foundational, and I work as a strategist, which means I look at things from top down. So yes, from the foundational perspective, if people don't trust you, then they're not going to buy from you, and you will never know why. So we're going to talk about two main elements of trust, which is competence and character. And when it comes to competence and character, those are two trees that share a symbiotic, they share a symbiotic relationship. They share the same root system. And that is really, really important when you're thinking about creating trust and creating trust with the potential buyer that's in front of you. So when you're looking at creating competence or demonstrating competence, the fastest way to create trust is to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, okay? But you've got to make it relevant to the person that you're talking to. So if you're only talking about you and you're not making it relevant to them, they're like, oh geez, all he does is talk about himself. But if you're making it, if you can make and demonstrate your competence, but make it relevant to something that is important to them, they will listen to you. Okay. If it's not, it's like being that know-it-all about everything. But again, if it's not relevant to them, who cares? Okay. So you have to have some discernment, but you also have to demonstrate character, because again, I could give you the keys to the kingdom in terms of knowledge, but if I demonstrate poor character, again, you're not going to listen to me. If I was like, again, I have a wonderful relationship with my bride, but if I started talking about, hey, I got a hot date with a girlfriend, coming up, you're like, dude, what the heck? Like, you mentioned that you were married, right? What do you mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of ick around that. You're like, dude, I don't want any part of that. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's why, and I see this a lot, and I'm mentioning this now because a lot of you had mentioned that you go to networking events, and I see this a lot, where people go to networking events and they drink way too much, or they get a little bit too loose, and they start demonstrating little cracks in their character. And I'm telling you, there's reasons why I don't do business with people in town, because of the way that they have demonstrated their lack of character in certain things. And I'm sure I've had lapses too. I'm sure I've had lapses of character as well. Trust me, I am not perfect. And there's probably people who will not do business with me because of those reasons. I get it. I totally get it. So I'm just saying the competence and character, those are two trees that share the same root system. So everything else I'm going to put up here, caring, confidence, commitment, communication, and consistency, all of those areas of trust are absolutely, these are fruit of these two trees. So caring, trust. Have you ever heard of the phrase, that people don't care about what you know until they know how much you care? Yeah, because there's some real truth to that. If they feel that you only care about the transaction and not about the relationship, people are not going to do business with you. Some may, but people need to know that you care. People need to know that the product or the service that you're selling is going to solve the problem for them. And if they feel like you don't care, they're not going to do business with you, or they're not going to trust you at least, and they probably won't do business with you. What about confidence trust? If I came to you and said, well, yeah, I mean, Jessica, yeah, I kind of think that you're seeing screen frozen. So I'm not experiencing that, Jess. If you need to, sometimes you have to reboot, go out and come back in. So if someone could type that up there for Jessica, yeah, sometimes you have to go out and come back in. So Safwan, it's good to see you. Greetings from part-time ACCA from Pakistan. Oh, excellent. Good for you. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Outstanding. And he's got his LinkedIn profile there. All right. So so when you're looking at your confidence trust, if I said to like Jessica or Yvette or Ivy, hey, yeah, I think my product is pretty good. I mean, it should work for you. Am I demonstrating much confidence? No, not much confidence at all. That's going to be important for you to really believe in your product or service. And if you don't, or if you're representing a company that you're really not sure how well they can do it, I'm telling you, people will know. And again, people will not trust you, and you may never know why. What about commitment trust? How committed are you to your product or service? This is also important, and I'm telling you, this is very true of people who have their own businesses, people who are entrepreneurs, people who are business owners, and the label of, oh, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I get it. I was that guy too. But I'm telling you, if they feel that your commitment is split in too many different directions, that you're serving too many masters, that you have this business over here and this business over here and this business over here and this business idea over here, and every time you get out of the shower, you have another business idea that you're getting ready to roll out, and you have 7 or 8 businesses when in reality, they're just 7 or 8 jobs, that does not show much commitment to your trade. Does that make sense? So I'm just saying, they may not trust you because they don't see the commitment, and you may not know why. What about communication trust? Again, when it comes to communication, are you communicating clearly? Do you use a lot of jargon and you're talking over people's heads? Do you interrupt people? And again, I interrupt people way too much, and I am something I have to actively work on. But when it comes to communication, do you do it well? Do you do it often enough? Again, when it comes to networking, it's not people's jobs to remember you. You have to do this often and be an effective communicator. And the last one is consistency. How consistent are you in your networking? How consistent are you when you're showing up with your product or service? And all of these areas will relate to that trust. And all of these last 5, the caring, confidence, commitment, communication, and consistency, those are all incredibly important. And again, those are fruit of the 2 trees of competence and character. Okay. So you might be thinking, you know what? Maybe I do have to work a little bit on my consistency. Maybe I do have to work up on showing that I care a little bit more than I do, right? Whatever it is, if you're not getting referrals, it may be because you have a low, because people have low amount of trust in you. And again, it could be in any one of these 7 different areas. All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah. So yeah, try logging back out. Yep. That worked. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sometimes I don't know what happens, but it's maybe something through Eventbrite or through StreamYard, which is the platform that I'm using. So I do apologize. But for anything that you may have missed, Jessica or anybody else, if you do have to hop off a little early, again, as long as you signed up through Eventbrite, you will be getting the replay. For anybody else, you can see the replay on YouTube. All right. So remember, everybody has heard this phrase, and if you have not heard it and this is the first time you're hearing it, it's very, very true. The value of your net worth is directly related to the value of your network. I'm going to give you a real world example that I have experienced in the last probably 45 days. I had a real estate, a portion of my real estate portfolio. Most of my money comes in through real estate. And I had a portion of my real estate portfolio that I needed to get a loan on. and I just could not get a loan for whatever reason. These banks had these weird, like, banks are really hard to borrow from right now, and they wax and wane. That's what it is. So I ended up calling this guy, and his name's Walter. I say, hey, Walter. And I said, hey, do you happen to know of anybody? And he's a real estate guy. I said, do you happen to know of anybody who's lending right now? He's like, oh, dude, I got two guys, like, that I could absolutely hook you up with. I said, oh, okay, cool. Like, am I gonna get murdered on, on rate? Yeah. And he's like, no, they're just, they're saying yes to some pretty cool stuff. I'm like, all right, am I gonna get killed in fees? He's like, no. He's like, okay, cool. Well, yeah, let's give it a try. Called him up, and it was such a smooth transaction. Had I not known Walter and reached out to him in my network, knowing that he had connections like that, he made this, this loan went through so easily, and it had some fur on it. It definitely did have some fur on it, but it was able to get it done. And that directly related to a significant transaction for me because of my network. So I'm telling you, this isn't just pandering. This isn't just, oh yeah, it's a good idea. It's actual reality. It translates to dollars. And I will also tell you, it translates to me as a human being with the type of people that I have in my circle. So it's really, really cool and really, really valuable. So what we're going to do, I'm going to hit the rest of the agenda here. I know you're like 30 minutes in, I'm hitting the agenda. Yes, but I wanted to get that stuff out of the way for those of you, to give you some context about what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the top-down part of this. So we're going to be going through the Viper methodology. Then we're going to be going through the 4 core functions of business. Then we're going to be talking about lead generation specifically, and then actual networking. And then, of course, we'll talk about some different success strategies. So first and foremost, the Viper framework is a strategic approach to managing your life and your business. So this is a top-down approach to managing your life and your business. So Sam, oh, hey, Sam, it's good to see you. Sam is from Nigeria. Glad you could join us. So the strategic approach to managing your life and your business, this is the Viper framework that I talked about. And I talk about it in this book that's over my shoulder. I don't have a graphic up here, but it's the Time Wealthy Advantage that I wrote about last year. So if you're interested in a deeper dive, you can go to the website, strategicboardroom.com, and get a copy of it. Or if you're outside the United States and you want to get a copy, you can find it on Amazon. But I'm not here to push the book. I just want you to understand there's a deeper dive if you want to go into the Viper framework. So the Viper method is an acronym for vision, infrastructure, process, execution, and reporting. I'm not going to get into super granular details on all of these. That's generally something I do on other Eventbrite stuff. Business Growth Multiplier, Business Plans 101. I get into the weeds on this stuff. I'm going to hit some of it on the high points, but specifically I'm going to get into vision. Now, vision is very, very important to make sure that you're taking that time to define this. So Sam is saying the right video I need right now. Excellent. I'm glad that you could join us. So the vision is broken up into 2 components. It's personal vision and business vision. When it comes to personal vision is specifically about where you want to go in your life. Now, you might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with networking? It has everything to do with networking. Because when your network knows where you want to go, your network can help you get there. And not just in business, but in every aspect of your life. I can't tell you because of the connections and the wonderful people that I had met in my networking days, and I still network, but I'm not out there near as much as I used to be back in 2006, 2007, 2008. But during that period of time when I was really actively involved in networking with BNI specifically, these are people that I met that enriched my life in so many different ways. I never would have published a book if it wasn't for my network that I had established, and specifically within BNI. A couple of the books you can't really see, I'm not going to pull them out, but several of the books were endorsed by the founder of BNI, by Dr. Ivan Meisner, and I would consider him a friend. He's a good man, and I really appreciate everything that he did for me and everything that I learned in terms of networking and all the different things. In fact, I met my bride because of networking, because of someone that I knew at the local bank. I started banking there, and my wife she started working there, and I got to meet her, and that's how we got to know each other. And the rest is history, right? We have a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And yes, and you're thinking, wow, you're 53 and you have a 3-year-old. Yeah, I did not do the math on that, but that's okay. She's wonderful, and thankfully I'm in good health and all of the things. But it's just, it's interesting how much networking does matter in all aspects of your life, not just not just in business, but also in personal life. So if the personal vision is like, okay, so Sam, where do you want to go in your personal life? Jessica, where do you want to go in your personal life? What do you want your relationships to look like? What do you want your faith to look like? What do you want your wellness to look like? And you have this personal vision. Now we're going to come up with a business vision that exists to serve that personal vision. And the business vision, like, cool, that's where you want to go? Great. Business vision is going to say, cool, how are we going to get there? And you reverse engineer this business that's going to deliver that for you. Make sense? And the danger in never stopping and considering what a personal vision should look like is that you create a business vision that ends up, if the danger in creating a business vision before you create a personal vision is that you end up creating a life that exists to serve the business. And I'm just telling you, that sucks. It's an empty well that just never gets filled in. In fact, I can tell you there's many times where I've sat in different seminars and, even masterminds where I know the people well who are sitting to my right or to my left. And these are people who are making 6 and 7 figures a month net. And they are from a financial perspective and from a business perspective, they are absolutely crushing it. But their life is a disaster. Their health is not good. They've got no relationship with anybody at their own home. They don't have a relationship with their own children. And you know what they're more worried about? Getting an extra comma in their bank account. That's the thing that they're worried about. Like, come on, man. Like, how many more boats are you going to try to buy that are going to fill that void? So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to sound preachy here, but please take that time to get really clear what your personal vision is, and then develop a business vision that can serve that, not the other way around. So let's get into the 3 C's of business vision. Now, the 3 C's of business vision, I'm just going to let you know, this is, if you are not clear about what this is, and Ivy says, what a blessing. Yeah, I'm telling you, and this is a life by design. This is because I have designed this life for me. And I will tell you, 10 years ago, it really wasn't that great. My life was not that great. It was just, all I did was just, had the same series of Wednesdays over and over and over again, until I really I sat down and wrote out this personal vision of what I really wanted my life to look like, and what I wanted my relationship with my bride to look like, what I wanted my relationship with my children to look like, my faith and my wellness and all these different things, right? So, and again, so the first part of this morning, just real quick, I went and got avocado toast with our 3.5-year-old, and she had a great time and gave mom a break for an hour or so. And we drove back, and then she got inside the cardboard box here at the office and made it into a rocket ship. And we just had a great time. Right. And I didn't have a lot going on this morning, and I was able to do that. Right. But if I was always focused on the business, I would never have those opportunities. So I'm just saying, this is not just hypothetical. This is how I live my life. So let's get to the 3 C's of business vision. Now, I want to let you know, you might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with networking? It has everything to do with networking. Because whether you have a business of your own or you're networking on behalf of someone else, these 3 things are going to show up in your networking. And if you're not clear in any one of these 3 things, it's going to show. And it's going to show as confusion in the mind of the person you're trying to create as a referral partner. Not someone to buy from you. That's direct sales. I'm talking about someone who you're trying to network with. Because again, I didn't call up my friend Walter and ask him to loan me a bunch of money. No, because that would be me selling him on that idea. I called him to say, hey, who do you know that can loan me some money on this portfolio? He goes, man, I got 2 guys. I got 2 guys I know, and if one can't do it, the other can. Okay, perfect. And it made it workable, made it very, very workable. So I'm just saying, let's look at these 3 C's of business vision. It'll make more sense. Those 3 C's are core purpose, core values, and client avatar. And I'm just telling you this, anytime I get hired in as a strategist or as a fractional CSO, chief strategic officer, and I am brought into an organization and I'm looking at these 3 things, almost always there are holes in these three areas. And when there are holes in these three areas, or any one of the areas, any combination of them, they are struggling with a lot of turnover. They're struggling with finding clients. They're struggling with bad company culture. They're struggling with profitability. They struggle in all sorts of ways. So let's get and unpack the core purpose, core values, and client avatar. Core purpose is specifically what business are you in, and specifically what problems do you solve. And you have to be highly specific in your answers. And again, if I was going to ask anybody on here, again, Jessica, Saffron, Yvette, Ivy, Dustin, what business are you specifically in? And there's a dog groomer on here. And I would say, so, okay, fine. What do you specifically do? Will you do that for all breeds, or do you really like to work with certain breeds? Maybe you only like to work with large breeds or small breeds or whatever. Okay. But these are the sorts of, this is really, really important for you to get really specific about what you will do and almost be a little obnoxious about what you won't do. Make sense? Like, think about it. Does Starbucks sell cheeseburgers? No, they don't, because that's not part of their core purpose. So let's, again, and be really specific, highly specific about what problems do you solve. You say, well, I do a lot of things. Okay, I respect that. And there was someone on here who talked about all the different, I think it was Ivy, who talked about all the different things that she does with internet, internet service and ID protection and, identity theft and all that other stuff, right? I get that. But make it around an avatar. Make it around a type of individual that you're looking for. Think of yourself, if you do have an abundance of products and services that you offer, excuse me, let me get some water here. If you do have an abundance of things that you offer, think of yourself like a mechanic. So what does a mechanic do? A mechanic generally will work on a vehicle. Do they only replace headlights? No. Do they only replace fan belts? No. Do they only replace wiper blades or do brake jobs or mufflers? No, they can probably do all those things, right? Will they work on a transmission? Maybe not, because that's probably too highly specialized. Make sense? So this is where you start to go, that's not really what I do. Hey, like there's a shop that I know. I take my car to them all the time. They do not sell tires. But you know what they do? They'll order the tires, they'll bring them in, they'll put them on. That's what they will do, right? But they don't specifically sell tires. They say, hey, we actually buy them from this vendor, we bring them over, we put them on, right? So I want you to think about it from that perspective, but they do only work on passenger-rated vehicles. They won't do dump trucks. They won't work on your lawnmower. That's what I want you to think about in terms of your core purpose, okay? Especially for those who offer lots of different products or services. I want you to think of, hey, what business are you in? What problems do you solve? Hey, we get you up and running again. That's what you do. That's where you need to think about that as a mechanic, right? The mechanic, hey, we get you on the road again, nice and safe, and we do it, we do it using original equipment manufactured parts, OEM parts. Okay, great. Let's talk about core values. Now, core values is what matters to you about this business and how would the world be worse off if you went out of business. That's from the business owner's perspective. But your core values is demonstrating who you are. Okay, so I want you to think about this. So Ivy is saying, you're saying, yes, I make sure to customize with who I'm talking to. Example, an investor who owns a property back east. I can put money back in their pockets by saving money on gas and electric bills for properties they sell and own because they make residual income. Fantastic, right? Because if you started talking about all this different stuff, they're going to think of like, oh, okay, what level of commitment do you have? Like, how can you be good at all those different things? Me, as a strategist, I have lots of different tools in my toolbox, but for only 4 functions of a business: lead generation, sales, operations, and accounting. That's it. You start asking me about tax law, you start asking me about zoning, you start asking about all these different things, man, or you start asking me specifics about internet marketing. I mean, I know enough to do my own, but I don't know all the nuances of different things. That's why as a strategist, I have to be careful because I don't want to look like a damn know-it-all. That's not what I do at all. I want to make sure that I can help them in the 4 core functions of their business and know where my lanes are. Okay? Excellent. I'm glad that you brought that up, Ivy. Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, because people are like, you do all that? Well, how can you be an expert in any of those things? You have to be careful in terms of and adjust the conversation to the person in front of you. So in the core values, remember what you're bringing to your business. Your business is just an extension of you. So when you're thinking about the core values, you have to think about what matters to you about this business and how would the world be worse off if you went out of business. But the core values is what determines your company culture. And the company culture and the company brand have an inextricable link. So you might be thinking, well, how do I define my core values? Simple. What are your core values? Great. How do I define my core values? Well, what are your values? And here's a great way to think about it. We have lots of different values. We all do. I value peanut M&Ms and I value my family. Do I value peanut M&Ms more than I value my family? No. So when something is a core value, it's when you're willing to get up and off the couch and act upon something. If someone broke into my office here and said, "Give me all your peanut M&Ms," I'd be like, "Fine, dude, take them. I'm not going to go to war over peanut M&Ms." If they break into my house and threaten my family, they're going to be met with war, okay? Because that is a core value. So that's why I'm saying think about a core value based on the extremes. Have you ever had a friend? Sometimes it's a loved one, sometimes it's a romantic interest, and that all sucks. When they start to wander off the reservation, when they head down a path that you're not willing to follow, that's probably because it violates a core value of yours. And that's how you know what a core value is for you. You know where that line is where you go, you know what? I'm not willing to do that. Nope, I'm good. I'm sorry, man. It's going to break my heart, but I can't follow you down that path. That's because it's a violation of a core value. So think of the excessively good things in your life. And something so good that if you could replicate it, you would. What did that represent for you? And that's how you can start to delineate and figure out what your core values are. So again, that's why you should also have these things defined. So when you're across the table and networking with people and you're finding like you're jiving, these are people that you're jiving with, it's probably because you're in alignment with your core values. Have you ever networked with someone and you're just like, yeah, you're really like, you have a lot of credentials, but man, I just am not feeling the synergy here. Like it's off. Yeah, it's probably because there's a misalignment of core values. And that's okay. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with admitting, you know what, you're just on a different path, right? And that's cool. But I'm going to head this way and you continue on your own path. So that's why I'm saying when you have those core values defined, it's much easier for you to find the people that you want to network with. And it's also helpful when you find the customers that you most want to work with. So that's core values. So we talk about core purpose, core values. Now we're talking about client avatar. These are the people you specifically and ideally want to serve. Who are these people? And I want you to think about them in terms of where they are, their geographics, their demographics, and their psychographics. Again, the geographics is where they are. The demographics is who they are. Are they married? Are they single? Are they wealthy? Are they poor? Are they educated? Are they not educated? All the different demographic information. And then finally, their psychographics, which is how they think and how they buy. How they think and how they buy. This is going to be really critical for you to bring to your network so you can help them find these people. Remember in the very beginning, for those of you who are here, I was, you're saying ICP. I'm not sure what ICP is. If you could hit on that a little bit further, Yvette. But when you're looking at the demographic, when it comes to the psychographics, again, this is when you're starting to think about these individuals, ideal client profiles. Okay, perfect. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. So for me, I would look at for me, that's the client avatar. That's the ideal person that I absolutely want to work with. If you want to use, if you understand who that is through ICP, ideal client profiles, that's perfect. So for me, I want to know, thank you, Yvette. And I hadn't heard that nomenclature before. So when you're thinking about the psychographics, this is how they think and how they buy. And I want you to think about this from the context of these people who you're trying to attract. And the psychographics, think of the phrase ALIA, the ALIA, their attitudes, their lifestyles, their interests, and their aspirations and goals. So when you're thinking about this, and you're thinking about the individuals you're trying to attract, and having that conversation with the people that you most want to network with, and again, the people that you most want to work with, think of their attitudes. What is their attitude towards your product or service? What's their attitude towards their industry, or the industry that you're in? Like for example, there was a guy who I knew really, really well. We became very good friends, and he worked at a local dealership, and the local Ford dealership, and phenomenal guy, just an absolutely phenomenal guy. And he was saying, because I had a small fleet of vehicles with my property management business, and we just got chatting about different things. He's like, and we were having a networking session one time, and he said, just a one-to-one session. That's what they call it in B&I parlance. And he says, yeah, I'd love to, do you have any vehicles, that you want to bring by or anything like that? So we were just talking. I was like, can I be honest with you? He's like, sure. I said, listen, man, every time I have ever brought a vehicle to a dealership, it's cost like 40% more than if I took it to a local shop. And he goes, I understand that. He goes, but that's not what we do. I was like, really? And he's like, no, I'll show it to you. He's like, and that's not like just because I'm, like we're friends. He's like, but that's the way we do with everybody. And I said, interesting. And they were right. And it was for a long time. They were just as equally priced, if not better at times, with their pricing. And I had an attitude towards, or basically I had an attitude against bringing my vehicle to a dealership for repairs. And they worked on all makes and models, by the way. So think about that. Think of the attitude that people may have towards your industry. And you can say, well, have you had anybody, for example, that's ever not had a good experience with maybe your tax accountant? Maybe you're a dog groomer or a dog boarder, or maybe you work in a restaurant. And have you ever had anybody that's experienced bad service or slow service? Yeah, that's happened all the time. Okay, great. I'd love to have connections with those, because that's exactly what we can help with, right? With people who are frustrated with X, Y, or Z, whatever it is about their industry. Think about that. Think about their lifestyle. What is their lifestyle like? Are they young and jet setting? Are they older and getting ready to retire? What's their lifestyle like? Are they traveling a lot? What do they do? What are their interests? Are they into NASCAR? Are they into Formula One? Are they into American football? Are they into European football? Who are these people? And think about their interests, so you can start to, again, get in front of them when you're marketing to them, when you're networking with them. Hey, oh, you have this interest? Cool. Yeah, I do too. So then you can start to connect with people on a different level. What about their aspirations or goals? This is probably the most important out of the four, is because if I understand someone's goals, I can help them get there. And I'm telling you, and from a networking perspective, if I know someone's aspirations, if I know that they want to go back to school, if I know that their goals, if I know that they may be struggling a little in their marriage, or struggling with their teenager, or struggling with addiction or something, if I can help them, I have a networking person for life. And I'm not saying this like, oh, well, I'm going to do this so they can get back at that. No, I don't keep score on that. I just do it because it's the human thing to do. And networking is such a human thing. That's the reason I love it so much. In fact, I really think there's going to be a networking explosion, because everyone's trying to replace networking with AI. And I'm sorry, we are social creatures. And I'm telling you, everybody's, and just as an aside, and I was thinking about this the other day, someone was talking about how all these people are going to get replaced by AI. AI is never going to outpace human beings. You know why? Because AI gets all its ideas from other human beings. We're the ones that drive the boat. Yeah, everyone's like, okay, well, AI is going to arm itself. And okay, that's, I suppose, possible. But I'm saying, like, when it comes to all this requisite variety of knowledge, AI isn't performing research. AI doesn't have discernment. AI doesn't look at things the way that a human being looks at things. It's very limited. That's why Humans are outpacing AI, and it always will. And you're like, well, you don't understand AI. I talk to some pretty smart people who understand AI, and I'm telling you, the way it's not even an algorithm thing. It's just the basis of where it's coming from. So, so you're saying, oh, Ivy says aligns with scripture to connect with people. Absolutely. Yeah, that's why we're here. We're here to have human connections with one another. I would love to be able to do this in one room, but again, we're all over the world. So those are the 3 C's of business vision. If you take nothing else away from today, please take the time to get into the weeds on the core purpose, the core values, and the client avatar. Now let's talk about the 4 core functions of business. And this is true in any business, which is lead generation, sales, operations, and accounting. And your customer's journey through your organization happens in this order. First lead generation, then sales, then operations, then accounting. Now, I will tell you this. The most effective networkers don't just hand people off once the networking done, once the sale is done. The most effective networkers stay in contact all the way through, and they never stop connecting. That's something that I call infinite marketing. Infinite marketing means that once that person is in your atmosphere and breathing your air, they never go anywhere else. And that is your job. That is your role. So I want to make sure that you don't forget this when it comes to the 4 core functions of business, that these people, even though that they have paid the bill and moved on, and you're like, man, they're not going to buy from me again. Really? Because it's not about, that sounds an awful lot to me like direct sales. Have you asked them, is there anyone that you can think of that maybe could use what we did for you? The car, the roof, the insurance, the whatever. Think about that. They can become massively viable referral sources for you. Have you asked up front, hey, during the sales process, hey, I know we're just meeting. Ivy, I know we're just meeting. Jessica, I know that we're just sitting down to meet for the first time. But would it be okay? And I know we've got some stuff to do. I know we haven't decided on buying anything yet, but it would be okay if we revisited perhaps you giving me a referral if I do a really good job for you. No one in the world is going to say no. No one's going to say no. So then you have permission to follow back up after everything's been executed, after fulfillment, after the bill's been paid, and you can say, hey, so remember way back when we started talking about this, I was asking you if maybe there's someone who else could use what it is that I have, this product or this service. Did you happen to think of anybody who does this, or, who could use this? Yeah. Oh yeah, actually my sister, okay, great. Thanks so much. And there are entire industries built on people doing just that. And so few people actually do it because it takes intention and you can't forget. Let's talk about the lead generation function. It lets the world know that you're out there through a variety of marketing approaches. And I'm not going to get into the weeds on this, but there's outbound lead generation. There's inbound lead generation. People often confuse the two. Outbound is, I want you to think of who initiates. So outbound marketing is like the company initiates, like they're putting out commercials and advertising. Inbound is more like someone searching for you, and they go on, and that's where SEO can really be helpful. Like, how do I get rid of, butt worms, right? And you're like, oh, okay, cool, right? So it's typing in here, and that's inbound, right? And then direct response type marketing, where people are actually taking a very specific response to whatever advertising you're putting out there. You've got networking, of course, which is what we're talking about today. You've got alliances, you've got joint ventures, you've got press releases, all of these different various marketing approaches. And all of this should have networking at the center of it. You should know as a networker everything that you're doing in your various marketing approaches. If you don't, people will be like, oh yeah, I saw your ad. And you're like, what are you talking about? That's going to be important for your people for you to know, whether you're doing affiliate marketing or whatever else it is. It's all interconnected. And here's the thing about networking. Many people also refer to this as word of mouth marketing. And word of mouth marketing, there are two truths. There's a universal truth when it comes to word of mouth marketing. And the universal truth is it's always working. Word of mouth marketing is always working. The question is it working for you or is it working against you? And that is the question you have to consider. Look, the truth is this. The new gold rush is for attention. And the fact of the matter is, if your networking is not working, you have to stop and think about this. Like, okay, I'm trying to attract attention, but am I trying to sell? Am I trying to direct sell to these people across the table, or am I actually trying to bring value to them? That's one of the biggest things I see overall when people's networking is not working. It's because they're trying to sell to the people that they come in contact with all the time. And think about it. Maybe some of you back in college, and maybe some of you are young enough to know this now. Like, have you ever like been around like the obnoxious drunk guy at the party? And like they've just been drinking since like Wednesday, and it's like Friday night, and you're like, oh my gosh, don't make eye contact, right? And every joke they have, they think is the funniest joke ever, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's told me that same joke 9 times already, and you're like, you don't make eye contact with him, right? That's you. You're the drunk guy at the party when you're always the one trying to sell to everybody in your networking events. Don't be that guy. Don't be that gal. So you have to consider that if your networking is not working, it also needs to be part of an overall strategy where you're owning the mental real estate of others. So again, like Ivy, you recognized that you can't go and bring all these different things that you do as part of like, because it would just short circuit people, right? You have a lot of things, but there probably is one overarching thing that you do. Maybe it's financial wellness. Maybe it's, something like, well, let's go through this whole section, because I have a lot of different tools in my toolbox, but I don't want to just unroll what it is that I do, because that may not make sense to you. It may not necessarily be the thing that really strikes the nerve, right? Generally, there's probably a lead. There's probably one thing that's pretty common to most people that you could probably help. With my buddy who had he worked at the dealership. Remember the guy who repaired cars? One of the things that they did, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, is that they would repair tires free of charge. So like you got a leaky tire, or you got a nail in a tire, they would allow you to come in, they would take the tire off the wheel, they would coat the inside of the tire, put the tire back on, mount it, balance it, the whole thing, and do that free of charge. And I was like, dude, why would you do that? He's like, because we're going to get them for everything else they need on that vehicle. And what's it going to cost us? $50? He's like, but we may end up with thousands of lifetime value customers, or thousands of dollars in a lifetime customer. And we're not going to try to sell them something else when they're there. We're just going to say, cool, go on about your way. We're not going to pester them like, oh, well, we found 19 things when the car was up on the lift, right? Like they're not going to do that. Now, if they see something truly dangerous, they may say something, but they're not there to do that. They're just there to fix the tire, right? So for that overall strategy, they worked on all makes and models, passenger rated vehicles. That's what they were known for. Make sense? So for you and for anybody else who offers lots of different products and services, you may want to start to think about what is the overarching thing that you do to help people with their, with the overall strategy, so you can occupy the mental real estate space of others. For many people, I am known as a real estate guy, but for others, I'm known as a strategist. For other people, I'm known as a Marine. They only know me from being in the Marine Corps. Okay, great. They only know me as a veteran. Some people only know me as certain things, but many people, you folks, you know me as a strategist. You know me as an educator. This is the mental real estate that I want to occupy of others. So think about that. And if you're too fragmented, you've got all these different core purposes, find a way to wrap that under one umbrella. And this all comes down to visibility, credibility, and profitability. This is something that for those of you who are in the BNI world, you may recognize. When you are first meeting someone, for many of you, I'm barely in the visibility stage with you, which means that you and I are just getting to know each other. We're in visibility. That's it. That's the visibility stage. It's not until we get to credibility where you start to recognize my capabilities, my competence, my character even. That's how that credibility is so important. I can't get to profitability with you until we go through visibility, then credibility, and then profitability. Too many people, they try to short circuit this process that they meet, they exchange business cards, and they go, oh, you've got a widget? I need to buy a widget. Let me sell you a widget. And they're like, dude, whoa, light a candle, romance me a little bit, like too much too soon. And I will say this, and this is not meant to be a sexist thing. It really isn't. There are some studies that do show that there are gender differences in terms of networking, that females tend to be more relational. They tend to take a little bit more time to go through the credibility process. Men, on the other hand, tend to be a little bit more transactional, where they can go through the VCP process a little faster. That's very broad brush, but I'm just suggesting that you have to recognize that whether they are male or female, you have to recognize that certain people are going to take longer to get through that credibility process. So it may take you meeting with them a few times before they buy from you or before they start sending you referrals. Make sense? Now, think about this for just a second. Have you ever had someone that recommended like a book or a movie to you, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is the best book, this is the best movie, this is the best restaurant, right? And you go and experience this book, the movie, the restaurant, and you're like, why would you think I would enjoy that? Like, it was a terrible experience. And you're like, yeah, that place was terrible, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I love that place. Now you're like questioning this person's like character. You're like, really, dude? Like, you thought that was good? Oh my gosh, why would you think I would enjoy that? Have you ever had that happen? Yeah, of course we all have. That is because when you're giving a referral, it's very much the same way. I gave a referral to someone who was in a direct, they were in an MLM, a multi-level marketing thing. And when they asked me, hey, do you know so-and-so? I'm like, yeah, here's so-and-so. Yep, I'll connect you with them, whatever. And that person called them morning, noon, and night and would not leave them alone. Like, they just punched them in the mouth with all this, just like way overpowered them. And like, finally they were like, stop calling me. Like, they had to tell them to stop calling me. And then they finally come back to me like, man, that woman, did I do something wrong? Did you suck that woman on me? Like, she was like a bulldog. She wouldn't let me go. So that's why I'm saying you have to recognize that when people are sending out referrals, they're sending out a piece of themselves with that. That's why that visibility, credibility, profitability, that's why sometimes it takes longer for people to give you referrals. So if you're not getting referrals, again, maybe you're trying to get to profitability too fast and you're not allowing that credibility phase to take place. So again, this is where you have to stop and ask. And we're getting ready to wrap things up here. But if I were to ask you, if I was to ask the 5 people that were closest to you what it is that you do, what would they tell me? Honestly. And this is, again, what would be their answer? And business owners specifically and entrepreneurs, they are so fragmented and all over the place. And every day you come out of the shower, you come out with a new business idea. Can you blame them for being all over the place? Again, it destroys credibility. So again, it comes back to the whole concept of owning their mental real estate and being divisive and taking a stand and standing for something specifically, but standing against something specifically. And again, you can think of politics on this if you want, specifically American politics. But again, in order to stand for something, it's going to mean you're going to have to exclude some people, and that's okay. Your marketing, and I know we're not necessarily talking specifically about marketing, but when it comes to marketing, this is where you're going to attract and repel, just like a magnet. Magnets attract, but magnets also repel. So I want you to think about that, but take that divisive stance. Say, you know what? That's not really what I do. If I ask my buddy, hey, can you work on my dump truck? He'd be like, not really what I do, man. I work on passenger rated vehicles. Take it to XYZ if you're looking to have your dump truck work done. Okay. And the other thing is this, when you're starting to do this, is ask for the referral. Hey man, can I get a referral from you? I'm looking for someone. I know you have a connection with X. Would you be okay with opening up a referral for me? Right. And be specific. Don't be like, oh, well, yeah, could you talk to them for me, and then or not be really specific about it, but ask them for the referral. Say, what would be the best way to connect with that individual? Like I've been calling them and I've been getting blown off. Yeah, he doesn't take phone calls. He's a texter. Okay, cool. Could you open up a text thread with him for me? But don't be shy about asking for the referral. And not just for the sale, ask for the referral. You're not selling to the person. You're not selling to your referral partner. Trust and know if they want to buy what you've got, they will ask. But ask for the referral. And this is again why your networking might not be working, because you're asking for the sale and not asking for the referral, because you're wearing them out. Okay. So, Yvette, we're getting to the end, Yvette. So I'm going to answer that question in just a hot second. Okay. So we'll get to the end. I'll answer all the questions and then, but that's a good question. So I'll just hang tight for a second. The whole point of this is to lead with massive amounts of value. So this is where you have to start realizing that you need to bring something of value to the person on the other side of the table that is important to them. Again, think of their interests, think of their attitudes, their lifestyles, their aspirations, and their goals. What is important to them, and bring things to them that would be valuable to them. And it may not have anything to do at all with your product or service. If you know someone who's sitting across the table is maybe they're a young married couple and they don't have any family in the area, and they've got a 4-year-old and they desperately need a date night, maybe, and you find out that a local church or a local, has a parents' night out sort of situation, and they can drop their kids off and like, oh, this would be great, right? And you bring that to them. Do you think that they would value the fact that you remembered that they desperately needed a date night out or just an hour alone with one another, right? So this is the other thing I want you to think about. Again, leading with massive amounts of value. How do you prep your network for referrals? Okay, this is going to be the secret sauce of the whole thing. So let's say, for argument's sake, that I'm networking with Yvette, or I'm networking with Jessica, or I'm networking with Ivy. And I say, they're like, okay, Mark, I hear that, you're a strategist. I understand that you really like working with married, they tend to be Christian couples who are really super busy. They have kids at home. They're struggling with profitability. They're struggling with turnover. They're having trouble growing their business, and you can help them with that. How do I open up that conversation? Like, how do I connect them to you? Like, cool. All right. So let me ask you something. Do you have someone in mind? And one of these ladies says, it's my brother-in-law. Okay, cool. So does your brother-in-law complain to you about this different stuff? He's like, all the time. I'm like, cool. All right. So generally what I would say is this: the next time your brother-in-law is going on a tirade about, oh my gosh, like these employees, they just don't seem to care, or, I'm just struggling with getting leads in, or I really just can't seem to close any sales lately. I'm really struggling with this sort of thing. And I'm really trying to grow my company, but man, I'm kind of trying to figure out where all my profits are going. Right. And about the 4 core functions of business because I have educated you to those, right? The lead generation, the sales, the operations, the accounting. And you're going, and Mark talked about this. Okay. Hey, Joey. Yeah, you've been talking about this thing for a while. Let me ask you, do you have anybody helping you with that? Who's helping you with that? Who's helping you with that? Now, I'm educating Ivy and Jessica and Yvette on how to get a referral to me. So if I say, hey, the next time you hear Joey talk about that, just say, hey, who's helping you with that? Who's helping you with that? And you'll go, yeah, I can say that. Am I making sense? Because I know I'm jumping around in different characters here, but I want to make sure, like, hey, ask that person or tell that person to say, hey, who's helping you with that? And the referral partner can say, like, yeah, I can say that. Great. Because you're not, oh, you totally got to call so-and-so. No, that's not going to work. But who's helping you with that? Well, I don't have anybody helping me with that. I don't know that there is any help for this. Well, actually, there might be a guy that might be able to help you. Make sense? So this is how you prep your referral partner. You tell your referral partner to say, hey, who's helping you with this problem when you hear them talking or complaining about X, Y, or Z? Okay, is that making sense? So that is a really valuable piece that can really help you out. So let's talk about some success strategies. If you guys have questions, go ahead and type in your questions and I will answer them here. But again, I just want you to understand there's a couple of things in terms of success strategies. It's understanding the 15 reasons why people will buy. There's the principles of persuasion and certain mistakes to avoid. So this is this thing. I'm gonna put this up on the screen so you guys can take a quick copy of this. And there's 15 reasons why people will buy. I generally put this up on the Magic Marketing Magic, but this is something I want you guys to know. And when you can figure out why people are going to want to buy from you, they're going to want to buy because they want to make money, save time, avoid effort, escape pain, emotional pain, physical pain, whatever. They want more comfort. They want better health. And better health could be in the form of less stress, by the way. They want to gain praise. They want to feel more love. They want to increase their status within their tribe. They will buy for truth. And they will buy for truth, especially if they have felt lied to in the past. That's very, very powerful. They'll buy for growth, which could be in their knowledge, their faith, their wellness. They'll buy for novelty, just because something is new and improved or whatever. They'll buy for certainty or more perceived control. And they will buy to be in contribution to others. So, what I want you to do is take a screenshot of this, and your homework is going to be to come up with as many reasons as possible how you directly or indirectly help them save money, or make money rather, right? So I want you to come up with 10 different reasons under each of these how you directly or indirectly help them with these 15. So how do you directly or indirectly help them make money? How you directly or indirectly help them save money, how you directly or indirectly help them save time, avoid effort, escape pain. Because then you can, when people are talking and you've already worked this out on paper, you've already worked this out in your mind, when someone else starts talking to you, and again, especially if you have a lot of different product or services, you can help them in a lot of different ways. So you hear, oh yeah, I can help them with this or that. Again, directly or indirectly, and that will help you be much more effective in your marketing. When it comes to principles of persuasion, this is really about reciprocity. Now, there's different principles of persuasion which relate to reciprocity, commitment and consistency, social proof, liking, authority, and scarcity. I'm not getting into all those. That's actually a book written by Robert Cialdini called Influence, and that's a great book. But it really is all about reciprocity. If I'm going to give something to you of value, you will give something to me of value. That's the nature of reciprocity. And again, so I'm going to ask you this really hard question. If your networking is not working, if you're not giving any referrals, how could you possibly expect to receive any referrals? Ouch. How many referrals have you given in order to expect any in return? And I will tell you, whenever my referral game has struggled, I have to look at myself and go, you know what? Yeah, I'm not doing well in that aspect. And again, if I can't see myself as part of the problem, there's no way in the world I can see myself as part of the solution. Okay? So lastly, we're going to put some mistakes to avoid. Look, it's about having an unclear message, failing to follow up with people. I can't tell you how many times I actually have my updated stack of business cards here, okay? And I keep them in here kind of as a prop. But how many times you go to these networking events and you fail to follow up, and you look at that stack and you're not even sure who these people are. Yeah, I get it. You have to follow up in your networking. Monopolizing people's time, like they're the only networking person that you're going to talk to that entire evening, or that's the only person you're going to network with in your network. No, you have to have other people. And also being inauthentic, people will smell that out in your networking, and that comes back to character that we talked about back in the 7 areas of trust. So don't be inauthentic, don't be something you're not, because people will sniff that out. And of course, not giving referrals. These are all the mistakes that you have to avoid. So the other thing was talking about being transactional versus relational. So again, when we're talking about going through the VCP process, visibility, then credibility, then profitability, this is all about the transactional versus being relational. You cannot get to profitability too fast. And of course, getting to trust as quick as possible. You have to demonstrate trust, and the fastest way to do that is by demonstrating competence, and the fastest way to destroy trust is to demonstrate a lack of character. So these are the last couple slides I have. I'm just going to show you something real fast. This is actually a guy, this MacArthur Wheeler and Clifton Earl Johnson. They had robbed 2 banks in Pittsburgh back in the mid 90s, and they made no attempt at all to disguise themselves. You want to know what they disguised themselves with? They put lemon juice on their faces, and they were fully convinced that they were invisible to the security cameras. Yeah, I'm not making that up. And of course they got caught. And of course these two guys, I think it's David Dunning and Jason, I think it's Justin Kruger. They were two psychologists, and they're like, okay, there's got to be something about how false confidence plays a role for people in different aspects of what they think they know versus what the actual reality is. And this is often very true for business owners. So everybody starts down here at the bottom where they don't know very much and they have very little confidence. But then they say, well, how hard could it be? And their confidence spikes very quickly until they get to the peak of Mount Stupid. And then it crests very quickly and they start to realize, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I didn't know. And it crashes down very quickly until people get into the valley of despair. And if you learned a little bit, but your confidence is in a massive crisis. But if you keep learning and you keep working on your competence, and you'll eventually start up that slope of enlightenment until ultimately you get to the plateau of sustainability. My point here is to have a support system. And the support system that I would recommend for you, again, this is where we do a lot of networking, different things, I have a school community called Strategic Boardroom, and you can head over to school.com/strategic boardroom, and we hit all sorts of different things. I'm not here to promote this. I just want to give you something to consider if you're looking for a community that you guys can network in. They are business owners just like you. So again, if it's something that you are interested in, you can head over there as well. So, one last thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to get to the questions, is there is a money and finance business owner bootcamp that I have. It's a week from tomorrow. So it's a week from Saturday. And if you are struggling with your understanding of business or finances as a business owner, this isn't going to make you into a bookkeeper. This isn't about making you into an accountant or a tax accountant. This is about understanding being a business owner and everything related to balance sheets, income statements, and just the things that you need to know and nothing you don't. Well, and in addition to that, you also get the full access to the money and finance course, which is, it really goes through nuts and bolts of making you not only strategic in your thinking, but also bankable. So if you want to learn how to borrow in the name of a business, that course is for you and you get that for free. And if you sign up today before midnight in this course, and this is where I will also put the Eventbrite link in there. If you sign up tonight before midnight, I will also throw in a one-to-one strategy session with me. So that is in the comment section there. Let's get to the questions. All right. So got a question from Yvette that is, okay, how do you get there showing up consistency one-to-ones? So I think what you're asking specifically, when you're saying how do you get there, and like how do you get to this area where people are trusting you, how do you get there where people are networking with you? I do believe it's about consistency, because this goes back to that consistency trust. So think about it. There were people that I swear to you, I think the only thing that they did when it came to anything that resembled work was showing up at networking events. I would go to random events, and not random, but it didn't matter if the event was at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, noon. They were at every single event. I'm like, dude, do you work? Do you do anything other than this? And I knew they were the one doing fulfillment as well. Like, you can't be, like, you're not that busy. But the thing was, they never actually spent any actual one-to-one time with anybody. They just showed up at events. And I'm like, man, like, are you really making any money at this? And so that was they were consistently showing up in one area, but then I would say, well, hey, why don't you and I, meet for coffee or something like that? And I could never pin them down. And it was a lack of consistency. They wanted to, oh, well, I can't because I do all my networking out in the open, but I never do any one-to-one. Okay, well, dude, I want to get to know you a little bit. You're highly visible, but I don't know how competent you are. I don't know how credible you are. You just keep showing up to all these things. And if all you do is all this networking, but you're not demonstrating any credibility, I'm still not going to refer you, and I'm certainly not going to buy from you. So this is where, again, there's a fantastic question, Yvette. What I would suggest is making sure you're consistent, but making sure you're consistent in the right ways. So you have an opportunity to demonstrate your competence, but also so you can learn about the other person on the other side of the table, so you can give them referrals as well. So you can not only be referable, but you can also refer to others. And this is also, again, so you can ask them, and you're like, well, what do I ask people? Well, who are you looking for? What kind of attitudes do these people have? What kind of lifestyle do they have? What kind of interests do they have? What kind of aspirations and goals do your ideal customers have? Make sense? Remember, ALIA, that's the psychographics: attitudes, lifestyles, interests, and aspirations. So again, really, really good question. Thank you. Yvette, you are more than welcome. Okay, everybody. We're going to put the fries in the bag and put the tray tables and seat back and up in the upright and locked position. It is really good to network with you today. Ivy saying, I like being a book of resource for anyone I network with, and I love when they do the same for me. Absolutely. Yeah, it's fantastic. And you're the person, oh, I got a guy, or hey, I got a gal that can do that. I love that. Yeah, I love that too. All right, that's everything that I have, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking around. Let's see. Lisa's asking, will you have another date for the Money and Finance Business Owner Bootcamp? I just can't make that date work, but we'll definitely sign up for it. So Lisa, this is the first time I've ever done it, and I'm getting an okay response to it right now. Again, it's a little early. Usually most people sign up a few days before. Here's what I can offer you is if you sign up, if you sign up today, you and I will get a one-to-one session. You will also get the replay sent to you. So if you can't sign up for the session, you will get the replay. And what you could do is save that one-to-one session for after the Saturday session, and you can ask me any direct questions during our one-to-one coaching session. So that's an alternative that could work for you. And you will also get the business owner, the Money and Finance Advanced course as well. And so it's an entire video course. You get that as a bonus in that. So that could work for you. So unless you really just want to do it live, but I'm just telling you, I don't know that I plan on doing it again. And that's not like me being clever. I just truly don't know that I'm doing it again. I'm doing it just trying to test the market, see if there's interest in it. So thanks for letting me know that you'd sign up for it. But that's why I'm offering the replay, and that's also why I'm offering the course. So Dustin says, thank you, Mark. You are more than welcome, Dustin. Enjoy that pizza. The last time I was there, I ate a pizza while I was there, and I ordered a pizza to take home with me. Oh man, it was so good. It is very, very good. Their meatball pizza is unbelievable. Jessica, thanks so much. Another great class. Thank you so much, Jessica. It's good to see you. Amir, it's my pleasure, Amir. Glad you could hear. You were here. Ivy, great presentation. Loved it. Fantastic, Ivy. Thank you so much for being here today. And Lisa, that's a great solution. Oh, my pleasure. Hopefully I will see you sign up for it. And if you again, you sign up before midnight tonight, I will throw in that session for you. This class was awesome. Thank you so very much, guys. Here's the thing. I love the accolades. I really do. But the main thing is, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to make actionable with this? Do something. I'm not expecting you to do 19 things. Do one thing. Just do one thing a little bit better. And focus on that one thing. And then once you get that implemented, then you can work on something else. Or implement one thing right now to really make and get your networking to the next level. So you guys have been absolutely a blast. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll see you guys in the boardroom. Take good care.